Kendria Demas. Homicide crimes are now on the rise in Chicago, Illinois. Living in Chicago is like being in the middle of a war zone. Too many of our children are being taken away from us by gunfire in the streets of Chicago. National attention is now in Chicago, Illinois. Homicide crimes are now on the rise in Chicago, Illinois. Chicago ends the year of 2012 with 506 homicides according to the Chicago Tribune News. Homicides outnumber U.S. troop killings in Afghanistan, reported by the Chicago HuffPost. Living in Chicago is like being in the middle of a war zone. As of February 15, 2013, WBEZ reports, while 2,000 U.S. troops have been killed in Afghanistan since 2001, but more than 5,000 people have been killed by gunfire in Chicago during the same time period, based on the Department of Defense and FBI. Chicago's murder rate quadrupled that of New York and doubled that of Los Angeles. Homicide rate. Too many of our children are being taken away from us by gunfire in the streets of Chicago. President Barack Obama said, where as many children die from guns every 4 months as were slaughtered at Sandy Hook School in Connecticut. The president said 65 children were killed by gun violence in Chicago in 2012. That's equivalent of a Newton every 4 months, Obama said. 20 children were among the dead in the Newton massacre. National attention is now on Chicago. The murder of Hadia Pendleton attracted national attention and helped put Chicago at the center of a national debate over gun control. There were more than 40 homicides in Chicago in January of 2013. January 2013 was the deadliest in the city of Chicago in more than a decade. Homicide crimes are now on the rise in Chicago, Illinois. Living in Chicago is like being in the middle of a war zone. Too many of our children are being taken away from us by gunfire in the streets of Chicago. National attention is now in Chicago, Illinois. Homicides in Chicago reached over 500 last year for the first time since 2008. Already this year, the month of January, there were over 40 homicide deaths in Chicago. Chicago recorded over 500 homicides and over 2,400 shootings in the year of 2012. As a matter of fact, Chicago, Illinois led the nation in homicides in 2012.